This is the Stock Market Daily News Podcast for Friday, December 20th, 2025. I'm your host. Here's a rapid-fire roundup of yesterday's crucial market moves and what they mean for your portfolio. U.S. stocks closed higher. The S&P 500 added about 0.8%, the Nasdaq 100 jumped 1.5%, and the Dow Jones gained around 0.5%. The market's mood got a big boost from major tech stocks and cooling inflation data. But the real buzz today is around the Bank of Japan's surprise rate hike and how it rattled global bond yields, plus Oracle's major TikTok joint venture and a blockbuster pharma acquisition. Let's dive into the day's top stories. First, global markets watched closely as the Bank of Japan raised its policy rate to 0.75%, the highest in nearly 30 years. This pushed Japanese government bond yields above 2%, while the yen slipped against the dollar. For decades, low Japanese rates fueled global risk appetite, but investors now see Japan staying cheap compared to U.S. rates, avoiding a mass exodus from risk assets. For U.S. investors, the takeaway is a watchful eye on global rates, but for now, conditions remain favorable for equities and cryptocurrencies. Next, tech stocks led Wall Street higher as Micron Technology soared over 10% following a stellar earnings report and bullish outlook for chip demand. This optimism fed into the so-called Magnificent Seven, with Tesla up more than 3% and Amazon climbing over 2%. If you're overweight in tech, this risk-on rally is delivering healthy gains, but valuations remain in focus as we head into the new year. Oracle shares spiked more than 6% in pre-market trading to nearly $190 after news that TikTok will form a U.S. joint venture led by Oracle. This deal calmed investor nerves around AI data security and reignited excitement in AI mining stocks. CoreWeave and Cipher Mining rose 4 to 6%. Investors betting on the real-world deployment of AI infrastructure found fresh validation, making cloud and AI exposure a renewed hotspot. On the healthcare front, BioMarin Pharma jumped 19% after announcing a $4.8 billion acquisition of Amicus Therapeutics. The deal brings BioMarin new rare disease drugs and a late-stage pipeline, signaling confidence in specialty therapies and revenue diversification. This is one of BioMarin's largest bets yet, financed mostly with new debt, and could reshape competitive dynamics in the orphan disease space. Turning to regulation and emerging markets, listed asset management companies in India rallied 5 to 7% after SEBI, the Indian regulator, eased proposed cuts to expense ratios. This regulatory shift is less severe than feared, and with global central banks striking a more supportive tone, Indian equities are poised for continued flows, though future gains depend on earnings delivery and valuation discipline. And finally, in crypto markets, Bitcoin rocketed above $87,000, lifted by both Japan's rate move and softer U.S. inflation data. Other cryptocurrencies and risk assets rallied alongside, as traders cheered high liquidity and investor confidence, but caution is warranted as leverage remains high in thin year-end markets. To recap, S&P 500 closes strong, big earnings rallies in tech, Oracle's TikTok venture stirs up AI, BioMarin makes a bold pharma play, and Bitcoin jumps on global momentum. Watch for key earnings today from Paychex, Carnival, and Conagra, plus economic updates on U.S. consumer sentiment and existing home sales. Triple Witching Friday could fuel extra volatility. Don't miss an episode, subscribe for daily insights, and follow us online for market data and analysis all day. Thanks for tuning in to Stock Market Daily News Podcast. See you next market open.